as I did yesterday, so I did today. I started the stream about 30 seconds early, and that's fine, absolutely fine. So today, I'm not going to be reading out of the dictionary, and I've decided to stop doing that because I want to try to get on top of my sleeping schedule, try to get better sleep, and since I do these things so late, I figured I should probably take as little time as I can. Another thing that I thought about, yesterday I had said that I had something I wanted to say but forgot what it was. And I remembered one of the things. One of the things I remembered was that I stopped using my light that's off to the side there. I'm just using my overhead fan light. And I'm just going to stop using that light because it really doesn't make sense to have uneven lighting. I'd rather have it as even as I can. And there is nobody viewing live at the moment, but for those of you who are no longer, or rather are watching this while this video is no longer live, thanks for coming around here, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So, yesterday we started a new book. It's a collection of 4 books by Jules Verne, and the very first one is 5 Weeks in a Balloon, and we read the first chapter yesterday. Didn't have very many people joining in. I think I had about 4 people at a time as I was reading. It got about 28 views in total before the live stream ended, but that's, I mean, that's better than nobody, but not quite as much as it had been before I took a little bit of a break. Anyway, let's go ahead and open this thing up. I like that it's got this little string here to mark it. Comes with its own string, kind of like, you know, that's what a Bible has usually. My Bible has one of these things, and I think one of my Bibles has 2 of these. What do you even call these? I know they're bookmarks, but are they officially called bookmarks, or is there a special name for them? I'm not even sure. Well, anyway, chapter 2 of 5 Weeks in a Balloon doesn't have very many pages. It looks like maybe 6 pages. So that's not very long. I hope it's easier to read than it was yesterday, because I know yesterday I was struggling a little bit because I hadn't gotten back into I hadn't gotten the hang of reading older. Oh my! I hadn't gotten a hang of reading older works after the couple-month break. So I just realized something. I thought it was about 6 pages, and then we would get to chapter 3. Actually, that's chapter 4. Francisco Sanchez says, I love your reading. Well, thank you. And then Kason Tita and Francisco Sanchez both say hi. Hello. Glad you could join me. But anyway, what I was just saying is I thought chapter 2 was about 6 pages long. It turns out it's only 2 pages. You see those 2 pages right there? That's all there is for chapter 2. So this is a shorter chapter. Donna Asensio, Amy is here, says hi. Hello. All right, so this is a shorter chapter. So I don't know. What do y'all think? Should I read chapter 2 and end this early, or should I read chapter 2 and 3? Let me know what you think. And while I'm waiting for y'all to give me some suggestions, I'll take a little drink of water. And let's see if I can find something else to do while I'm waiting just a little bit longer. I don't know. I've got a whole bunch of stuff on my desk. I really need to clean it up. I'm not going to show you because the rest of my room's a little bit messy as well. But I've got, let's see, this is a big pile of stuff. It looks like I've got some notebooks, my laptop, a couple of other books, a shirt, a board game, 2 boxes, a calendar, a toothbrush, and all of that's in one big pile about that tall. So I kind of need to clean my desk off, but yeah, whatever. What kind of stream is this? I don't understand the question. Like, you meaning like, what platform am I streaming on, or what is it that I'm going to be doing? So a lot of the a lot of y'all have been saying do 2 and 3. So it looks like we're going to be reading chapter 2 and 3. You really want to see my desk, do you? Let's see. I'm not going to show you the rest of my room, but I'll show you the pile anyway. Let's see. I'll cover this up just for a second. Oh, is this stream about reading books or something? So yeah, right there you can see that great big pile on my desk. Yeah, so whenever I do a live stream, I'm going to be reading. I do other videos on my channel, but when I stream, it's because I'm reading something. And this particular series that I'm working on is a reading of a classic work. So I read classics. Yeah, I've got a lot of books. Library room, you say? Yeah, I've got 2 bookshelves, and this bookshelf is specifically for my Christian literature, and it's absolutely full. I cannot put another book in there. My book looks like a library room. Yeah, I really like books, so. Anyway, yeah, so whenever I stream, I'm doing reading. There are other streams that I do, but they're also reading. This particular series is reading of a classic work. The first book that I read, which was last year, I read through Treasure Island, and let's see, I have that right here. Oopsie daisy. I just finished reading through this, and then I took a break for the rest of the year. Just knocked a whole bunch of pens out of this case right here. Let me fix that real quick. So now we're working on 5 Weeks in a Balloon by Jules Verne, and it looks like there are 4 books in this particular book. So I'll also be reading A Journey to the Center of the Earth, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and Around the World in 80 Days. And I have no idea what I will be reading after that, but we'll see. You subscribed. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I love when I get new subscribers. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We'll see what happens. Oh, that's another person who says they subscribed. Thank you for that. So that puts me up at 293. So I'm not at 300 yet, but I'll get there eventually. I hope to get to 1,000 by the end of the year. We'll see what happens. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start reading. We've almost been streaming for 10 minutes now. That's weird. Time flies really quickly. So a lot of y'all said read chapter 2 and 3. So we're going to read chapter 2 and 3. Usually I don't read 2 chapters in a stream, but we'll do it this time since chapter 2 is so short. And I hope it's not so hard to read as it was yesterday. Oh boy, I'm seeing a lot of book titles that are in other languages. This is going to be really interesting. Francisco Sanchez also says you subscribed. Cool. Thank you. Alrighty. So chapter 2, and again in this book, right after the chapter, it lists basically what happens in the chapter. So right here it says the articles in the Daily Telegraph, war between the scientific journals, Mr. Peterman backs his friend Dr. Ferguson, reply of the savant Koner, bets made, sundry propositions offered to the doctor. I use Old Spice. Are you asking or saying that I do? All right, anyway. Did I grow up when you were reading books? So you're asking if I grew up reading books? Yeah, pretty much. So my dad used to read to me books. My dad read me books quite a lot when I was younger. And actually, I have a lot of the books that he used to read me. Like this one. Unfortunately, the covers come off, but this is Max the Minnow, one of my favorites. There's the front of it. So, yeah, this is one of the books he used to read to me all the time. Love this book. Let's see, another one that I would read. He would read to me The Cat in the Hat. The Cat in the Hat Comes Back. That's Not My Tractor. Squirrel is Hungry. That one was one I liked because of the pictures in it. Squirrel is Hungry. It's about a squirrel who tries to hide his nut. Can't find a place to hide it, and then eventually discovers that he's just hungry, and so he eats it. Where did I get this from? Yeah, there's a bunch of books down here that my dad would read me all the time. And, so yeah, I pretty much grew up reading books. Guys, let him read. Yeah. Alright, well, I'm gonna go ahead and get started reading then. So, I'll take a little break in between chapters to look at what's going on in the chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to ignore that for the rest of the reading. So, let's go ahead and get started. So, chapter 2 starts out, on the next day, in its number of January 15th, the Daily Telegraph published an article couched in the following terms. Africa is, at length, about to surrender the secret of her vast solitudes. A modern Oedipus is to give us the key to that enigma, which the learned men of 60 centuries have not been able to decipher. In other days, to seek the sources of the Nile, Fontes Nili Corriri was regarded as a mad endeavor, a chimera that could not be realized. Dr. Barth, in following out to Sudan to track the track traced by Denham and Clapperton, Dr. Livingston, in multiplying his fearless explorations from the Cape of Good Hope to the basin of the Zambezi, Captains Burton and Speke, in the discovery of the great interior lakes, have opened 3 highways to modern civilization. Their point of intersection, which no traveler has yet been able to reach, is the very heart of Africa, and it is thither that all efforts should now be directed. The labors of these hardy pioneers of science are now about to be knit together by the daring project of Dr. Samuel Ferguson, whose fine explorations our readers have frequently had the opportunity of appreciating. This intrepid discoverer proposes to traverse all Africa from east to west in a balloon. If we are well informed, the point of departure for this surprising journey is to be the island of Zanzibar upon the eastern coast. As for the point of arrival, it is reserved for Providence alone to designate. The proposal for this scientific undertaking was officially made yesterday at the rooms of the Royal Geographical Society, and the sum of £2,500 was voted to defray the expenses of the enterprise. We shall keep our readers informed as to the progress of this enterprise, which has no precedent in the annals of exploration. As may be supposed, the foregoing article had an enormous echo among scientific people. At first, it stirred up a storm of uh, incredulity. Dr. Ferguson passed for a purely chimerical personage of the Barnum stamp, who, after having gone through the United States, proposed to do the British Isles. Humorous reply, sorry, a humorous reply appeared in the February number of the Bulletins de la Société Géographique of Geneva, which very wittily showed up the Royal Society of London and their phenomenal sturgeon. I think the reason this is so hard to read is that Jules Verne wrote in French, I believe, a lot of the time. He probably wrote in other languages as well. I don't remember, but I know he wrote 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea in French, and I don't think he wrote in English. So some of these newspaper names are kind of hard to read because they didn't get translated, their names. All right, anyway. But Herr Petermann, in his Mitteilungen, Ungen, that's in German, published at Gotha, reduced the Geneva Journal to the most absolute silence. Herr Petermann knew Dr. Ferguson personally and guaranteed the intrepidity. There we go. That's the word I couldn't pronounce from yesterday. I think I figured it out. Intrepidity of his dauntless friend. Besides, all manner of doubt was quickly put out of the question. Preparations for the trip were set on foot at London. The factories of Lyons received a heavy order for the silk required for the body of the balloon. And, finally, the British government placed the transport ship Resolute, Captain Bennett, at the disposal of the expedition. At once, upon word of all this, 1,000 encouragements were offered, and felicitations came pouring in from all quarters. The details of the undertaking were published in full in the bulletins of the Geographical Society of Paris. A remarkable article appeared in the Nouvelles Annales des Voyages de la Géographie de l'Histoire et de Archéologie de MVA Montebrun. I think that was in French again. But what's really cool is that they added the English translation of that. New Annals of Travels, Geography, History, and Archaeology by MVA Montebrun. All right, and a searching essay in the Zeitschrift für Allgemeine Erdkunde by Dr. W. Kohner, triumphantly demonstrated the feasibility of the journey, its chances of success, the nature of the obstacles existing, the immense advantages of the aerial mode of locomotion, and found fault with nothing but the selected point of departure, which it contended should be Massawa, a small port in Abyssinia, where James Bruce, in 1768, started upon his explorations in search of the sources of the Nile. So there's a bunch of newspaper articles and names, and they're written in different languages, French and German primarily, it looks like. And I don't speak French or German, so it's kind of difficult for me to pronounce them properly. Anyway, apart from that, it mentioned in terms of unreserved admiration the energetic character of Dr. Ferguson, and the heart, thrice panoplied in bronze, I've never seen that word before in my life, that could conceive and undertake such an enterprise. The North American Review could not, without some displeasure, contemplate so much glory monopolized by England. It therefore rather ridiculed the doctor's scheme and urged him, by all means, to push his explorations as far as America, while he was about it. In a word, without going over all the journals in the world, there was not a scientific publication, from the Journal of Evangelical Missions to the to the Revue Algerine et Coloniale, from the Annales de la Propagation de la Foi to the Church Missionary Intelligencer, that had not something to say about the affair in all its phases. Many large bets were made at London, and throughout England generally. First, as for the real or superstitious existence of Dr. Ferguson. Secondly, as to the trip itself, which some contended would not be undertaken at all, and which was really contemplated, according to others. Thirdly, upon the success or failure of the enterprise, and fourthly, upon the probabilities of Dr. Ferguson's return. The betting books were covered with entries of immense sums, as though the Epsom races were at stake. Thus, believers and unbelievers, the learned and the ignorant, alike had their eyes fixed on the doctor, and he became the lion of the day, without knowing that he carried such a mane. On his part, he willingly gave the most accurate information touching his project. He was very easily approached, being naturally the most affable man in the world. More than one bold adventurer presented himself, offering to share the dangers as well as the glory of the undertaking, but he refused them all without giving his reasons for rejecting them. Numerous inventors of mechanism applicable to the guidance of balloons came to propose their systems, but he would accept none. And when he was asked whether he had discovered something of his own for that purpose, he constantly refused to give any explanation, and merely busied himself more actively than ever with the preparations for his journey. That's the end of chapter 2. All right, let's see what all is here in the comments. Oh my. Okay, what book is it? I am reading 5 Weeks in a Balloon by Jules Verne, which I have never read before, so I have no idea what to expect. How old am I? I am 19, and I will be turning 20 in October, so still a teenager, but almost into my 20s. Happy New Year. Yep, it's weird that it's 2025, because I've been writing 2024 all my life, and I remember when I was in school, just starting, I was writing 2014, 2015 on my books. I'm no longer in school, but now when I write the date, it's 2025. It's a new decade, which is really weird. Let's see. Hello. And let's see. It's been almost half an hour, actually. That's kind of weird. It was only a 2-page chapter, but it's almost been half an hour. So actually, I was going to read chapter 3 along with it, but I don't think I'm going to read chapter 3, because this video has been almost as long as the other ones. So I'm going to stop there, and if you want to listen to chapter 3, then you'll just have to come back tomorrow around 10 o'clock. What day is my birthday? My birthday is October the 8th. If I were to guess, before long, there's going to be somebody introduced to the book somebody introduced into the book that's going to be in the balloon with Dr. Ferguson. I'm not sure of that, but that's what I'm going to guess. That seems to be the pattern with Jules Verne. There's always somebody who's the main character who goes on an adventure, but he's never alone. In 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, I forget his name. I think he's a doctor. I forget his name, but the main character. And then he brings along his friend Consul. And in A Journey to the Center of the Earth, it's Dr. Lindenbrock, and he brings along. I haven't actually read I haven't actually read A Journey to the Center of the Earth. I saw the movie. So I know in the movie he brings along. I'll think of his name here in a second. What am I talking about? I'm talking about other books by Jules Verne. There's always a main character, and that main character goes on an adventure, and he always brings along somebody with him. So in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, I forget the main character's name, but he brings along a friend of his. And in A Journey to the Center of the Earth, Dr. Lindenbrock goes, and he brings along Alec McEwen in the movie. I don't know if that's his name in the book. I haven't read the book. Around the World in 80 Days, which I have read, Phineas Fogg brings along somebody named Passepartout. And so what the point that I'm trying to drive at is that pretty soon in this book, there's 5 weeks in a balloon. There's going to be somebody else introduced, I'm sure, who's going to come along with Dr. Ferguson in the balloon. That's my prediction. We'll see what happens. I don't know when he'll be introduced, but if he's introduced in the next chapter, you'll just have to wait to see tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this live stream off because we've been streaming for 27 minutes now, it looks like. So anyway, thanks for sticking around. Bye-bye. Have a good night. Gotta go to sleep. Well, have a good night. Thanks for sticking around. Yeah, for those of you who are still here, thanks for sticking around. And if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. I always appreciate that. Again, I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And I'm not even at 300 yet, so would really appreciate subscribers. And if you liked this video, consider leaving a like. That makes it more visible. Maybe share it with someone you think who would like to hear this book. I don't know, maybe you know somebody who likes classics. Even though it is kind of hard to read sometimes, it's always nice to read an older book. Yeah, I'm going to shut this off now. So thanks for watching, and y'all have a good night. God bless.